Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at NIO. NIO stock is trouble written all over it. This is an article from the Investor's Place. Listen, you can't listen to too much things. You have to do your own research. You have to do your own research at all times. That's what I always recommend. Now, this is not financial advice. This is not financial support. This is just me sharing my own opinion. NIO quarterly deliveries are decelerating. Quarterly deliveries are decelerating. Okay. Let's try to understand. Furthermore, NIO remains unprofitable and needs to show improvements in its financials. Investors shouldn't be in a hurry to buy NIO. Is this true? Is this true? And is Investors Place right? Are they right, or are they just making an article that will get clicks? You know, they say negativity gets a lot more attention than positivity. That's what they say. Research says this. By now, you may have heard about the slowdown in electric vehicles demand. I've definitely heard about it. Yeah, amidst this challenging backdrop, it's not wise to make hasty trades in EV segments. Chinese auto manufacturer NIO appears to be having problems, and NIO stocks only deserve a D grade right now. Say what? Because I was under the impression that NIO was one of the most underrated and undervalued electric vehicle companies right now. So let's make this make sense. Financial Place also say we're not currently slapping NIO with an F rating, as the company is set to release its first quarterly 2024 financial results in May. It's possible that EV makers might pull off a miraculous positive earnings surprise. Don't get your hopes up high, and don't make any investments that you'll end up regretting. Well, I do agree with that. Don't make investments that you might think you might regret. You know, one of Warren Buffett ways of making an investment is saying to yourself, if I invest in a company right now and I don't get to touch it for the next 10 years, would I be okay with investing in that company? And that's why Warren Buffett probably invests in few companies. He invests in a lot of companies, but it's still few for the amount of money that he has. If he wanted to, he could invest in every existing company, which is crazy, but it's true. But he doesn't, because not every company will be successful. He's looking for companies that will be very successful, and he doesn't have to even think about it. People are there working for him, and they are not even aware that they're working for Warren Buffett. And that's the magic of investing and compounding investing. Now, here's where I do take problem with. They are saying, don't be impressed by NIO's EV delivery beat. I am impressed. But they're saying I shouldn't be. Why shouldn't I be impressed? It's easy to be led astray if you're not representing all the relative facts. A perfect example of this is NIO's EV delivery beat in 2024 first quarter. NIO delivered 30,000 vehicles during the first quarter. NIO delivered 30,053 vehicles in the first quarter, barely surpassing the company's target of 30,000. So their target was 30,000. They delivered 30,053. And you're saying I shouldn't be impressed? Well, I am. Because you know what? Some companies can't even beat their own damn targets these days. So I am impressed that NIO can. And if this means that they're honest to us, I want them to be honest to us. This is good. That was their target. They hit their target. What am I expecting? 40,000 deliveries? 35,000 deliveries? I would be happy with 31,000 deliveries, but I got 30,053. And I'm very happy with that, especially the nice 53. Don't forget the 53 is key. So this result is less than NIO's 31,041 vehicle deliveries from last year quarter. So they're comparing this quarter with last year quarter. I get it. Fair enough. So is that what you're saying? That last year's quarter was higher than this year's quarter. So this means that NIO is in a NIO, all the quarters of NIO is just going to be slowing down. You found something and you decide to make an article about it. Very good. Very good. I'm impressed. You know, I do the same thing with videos. You know, you got to get clicks. You got to get people to subscribe. You got to get people to like. You got to get people to read. Fair enough. But I'm always going to make my own analysis. And I have my own analysis. So let's read into it a little bit more. It's not really impressive apparently, as NIO had revised its delivery target to 30,000 from the company's prior prediction of 31,000 to 33,000 vehicles delivery. It was only a beat because NIO moved the goalposts. Okay, so when did they move the goalposts? Now you got me interested, because maybe you're making a good point. Because if NIO moved the goalposts in March, or even February, then I'll be like, okay, you got a very good point. Because companies would do that. Companies will do that. Companies will, and they have done that. Companies will move the goalposts to make themselves look better. Companies will move around those numbers to make themselves look better because you know what? These modern business is all about forward facing. It's all about forward facing. If you look good to the public eye, you're doing good, even if you're not. Just looking good is enough to make people think that you're doing good. But that's not enough. You have to look beneath the surface. But I must say, I don't believe NIO's yearly quarterly deliveries decreasing is a fundamental problem because of the company's underlying issues. I don't think so. There is a reason for it, but I don't think it's that one. Why is this? Because I looked deeper in the numbers. I didn't just look at the quarterly results, I looked at the monthly results. And the monthly results are significantly more enlightening. And that's where I got my light bulb moment from. So let's continue reading. Besides there's alarming trajectory in NIO's quarterly delivery figures, the automaker delivers 55,432 vehicles in the third quarter of 2023. That's the third quarter. Okay, so now we were on the first quarter. What happened to the second quarter of 2023? You didn't tell me about that. This was followed by 50,045 in 2023 fourth quarter. Okay, so that's interesting. So they're saying that NIO had a better third quarter than the fourth quarter, which is usually the opposite. The final quarter is usually where companies do the best that they can possibly do. But we're going to look into this once again. So if we continue, it's saying that it's a discouraging trend. Therefore, when we observe that NIO only delivered 30,053 vehicles in Q1 of 2024, considering NIO's financial problems, as we mentioned earlier, EV sales have been slow lately. Along with that, NIO manufacturer rivals have been slashing their vehicle prices. That's true. Tesla is basically selling a Model Y for $29,990 right now in the US after subsidies, after EV tax. They're basically selling an EV for less than 30 grand. That is very steep competition. By the way, this is Tesla's most popular vehicle, is the Model Y. So yes, the competition is really ramping up. And it's working best for Tesla right now because they sell so many different vehicles in so many different markets. They can really afford to drop the prices to stupidly cheap prices. But it's one thing I want to say. You do not want to get in competition with a Chinese company about lowering prices. You know what will happen? Here's what will happen. This is what will happen. Onvu L60. That's what will happen. Companies like NIO, they'll create a second brand to sell cheaper vehicles, all while keeping NIO vehicles at the same price. I'm not too worried about NIO because I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to build the next Audi, the next BMW, the next Mercedes. They're trying to retain a high level of brand value. And if they want to sell more vehicles, well, why don't we just create a new company with a different name, different logo, sell the same vehicle, just different interior and exterior design? Volvo does it. VW has been the most famous for doing this. And VW is a German company, a European company. If they can do it, Chinese companies should be able to do it too. And that's what NIO is doing. That's a genius plan behind this. I'm not so worried about the NIO deliveries right now. To be honest, I'm not. I'm more concerned with the infrastructure development. The continuation in infrastructure development is key. It's everything. If they get that right, if they continue to build out their infrastructure, especially in the European region, it's going to be extremely beneficial to NIO and to the NIO's investors. But this article does go on to say, China's economy hasn't been smooth. China's economy recovery hasn't been smooth. Okay, China economy is in a recovery. Okay, there is a lot of that narrative right now, and to be honest, it doesn't back up with facts. China is shifting their 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 focus. They were heavy on industrialization. They were heavy on it. And now China is moving into a new area that I think the rest of the world isn't even ready for yet. Let's be honest. With human beings, they have different eras. There was the industrial era. Before that, there were probably the agriculture, or even before agriculture was one of the many areas that lasted for generations, hundreds, if not thousands of years. But the industrial era is fairly new, and we found some sign effects. such as high density carbon dioxide ruining our lives. So we know we have to change something. And China is already getting prepared for that something. So they're not so worried about, oh, the Chinese economy is slowing down. Of course it's slowing down. It's been doing so good. Of course it's slowing down. That's what happens when you're doing so good. You slow down. iPhone sales fall. Not because Apple is making crap phones, because they do so well, because they sell so much phones that they've run out of people to sell these phones to. Of course it slows down. China's economy has been running the world for decades. Of course it slows down because now the world is starting to manufacture in Africa. They want to manufacture in Mexico. Competition. That's normal. That's life. You live it, you learn. But they also say, not to be the bearer of bad news, but NIO has delivered one unprofitable quarter after another. Analysts expect the company to continue into a negative track record this year, first quarter. NIO could surprise its critics with street-beaten results, but it won't make any assumptions about that. Okay. What's known for certain is that when company compared their prior quarter, NIO's fourth quarter 2023 revenue declined, and the company's net earning lost widened. Okay, now this is where we look at my data, and I explained a little bit more. There's a lot of truth to this. This article is really good at drawing you in. There's a lot of truth to it, and it's also something that will, it'll get you interested. So let's get interested. So I'm using the Qualtrim site, really good site to look at information that is relating to electric vehicles. Of course, we know that NIO is doing quite negative in net income, free cash flow, EBITDA, that's earning before interest, tax. We know they're doing negative in that area. And like I said, this article found something within the NIO data to technically say the quarterly results have been falling. And in some areas, it is true. Last year, quarter over quarter, NIO was not doing particularly well. If we look at the first quarter and the second quarter, it was a very slow start in terms of revenue. And it was quite uncharacteristic. It was quite uncharacteristic for the company of NIO. Because if you look back since 2018, since 2019, it's been an upward trend. But towards the third and fourth quarter, they recovered beautifully. They recovered beautifully. And if you compare the 16 billion in revenue in fourth quarter of 2022 to the 17 billion in the fourth quarter 2023, account for the 19 billion in Q3 2023. And then if you consider that they're at a slow start in Q1 and Q2, then you would realize, putting all of this together, that they're still doing tremendously well. The thing about it is that in 2022, especially in Q4, NIO did terrific, and it's not so easy to beat said record. So it's always expected that you do better and better and better. And with slowing EV demand, that becomes more challenging. But like I said, they found something within their data that made sense to them. Now, this is something that I do want to have a look at, right? In 2023, that's last year, NIO delivered a total of 160,000 vehicles, right? This is a year-over-year growth of, I believe, 30.7% year-over-year growth, despite what the naysayers say. Let's get to a little bit more facts. This was posted at the start of 2023, and this was for the financial year of 2022. The full year, 2022, NIO delivered 122,000 vehicles. Once again, increasing by 34% year over year. Year over year, the percentage increase is decreasing, but the amount of cars that they're building and selling is increasing. That's why I'm speculating. Actually, it's not speculating. I'm predicting that this year NIO will deliver over 200,000 vehicles worldwide in the entire year of 2024. I predict that the company will deliver 200,000 vehicles plus, because last year they increased it by 30% year over year. Okay, they delivered 160,000 vehicles last year. Increase that by another 25 to 30%, and how much vehicles do you think you will have? Keep in mind, 25% of 200 is 50. So if NIO increased this year's delivery, all of it, by 25%, that's 210,000 vehicles being delivered. What if they increase it by another 30%? How much would that get us? I believe that would be 60. That is 60 indeed. I was correct. I wasn't doing the math. I was just guessing. So that'd be 60. That would mean NIO could potentially deliver anywhere from 200 to 220,000 vehicles this year. So quarterly over quarter results, I understand, but I do look into the data to find out for myself because I can't just be an investor investing blindly. I can't just be doing research and looking for biases to fit my own narrative. It has to be real math. Year over year, NIO's is increasing their deliveries in total. 2022, that was by 34%. Impressive. 2023, that was 30.7%. What will they do this year? Anywhere from 25 to 30%. I would be worried if it was like 20% or 15% because that's a huge drop off in year over year growth. That's where I would be worried. But it's up to NIO to be competitive with the other automakers. It's up to NIO to utilize their strength and their values. That's what Tesla is doing. Tesla is offering cheaper vehicles because they're utilizing their strength and value. And you can see Tesla is still growing. Even though they have been seeing a lot of competition, they're still growing. The thing is that people are still buying petrol cars. People are still buying petrol cars. So EV demands, they will slow. And they have because people are still buying petrol cars. Because this petrol band of cars is always being pushed back. Oh, now they're pushing it back from 2030 to 2035 or 2040. It's always being changed. It's always being pushed back. But we're at a stage now with electric vehicles where there is no going back. It is going to be a long time before we see this crazy demand in electric vehicles again. But when that day does come, companies like NIO, companies like Polestar, companies like Li Auto, Geely, Volvo, they're going to be eating food. But in my next video, I hope to talk more about the Onvu L60 brand. You know, the Onvu L60 is their new car. I hope to talk a little bit more about this brand and how similar it looks to a Polestar 4. That's all I got to say for today. I like both companies, Polestar and Onvu and NIO. Strange to say. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.